Okay, we are back. Um, we're going to mount this on a pin mandrel, um, and this will be the one that I'm using. Let me just back up just a second before we get started in episode 4. One of the things I did want to discuss is up until this point, um, there are several different ways of turning this round, boring your holes. You could have used a drill press. Um, what you saw was just what I'm most comfortable with. Um, so with that in mind, um, let me change the camera angle a little bit and we'll get started on this. Okay, so we are going to turn this into something like this is one that I did earlier. Um, and so we're going to get this mounted on the pin mandrel. I have one 7mm bushing on the pin mandrel already. These are the bushings, and I will leave a link to these in the notes below. In video 1, I have these a description of these as well as a link, but I'll redo that. As a tip, if you're needing to hone that out by hand, do it after this point, um, because you don't want to bore this out and then your bushing's not going to sit smooth in there. Again, I'm putting the top of the pepper grinder. I wrote my note on there, close to the tailstock. And I like to tap it a couple times to get the Morse taper 2 seated really well in the headstock. And then you want to tighten slowly just until this gets snug. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to rough mark our lines, which this is sitting on there like that now. See if I can get that light out of the way. So this is sitting on the lathe like this, and my lines will just mark where I'm going to try to do different profiles. And they will help guide you when you start to remove wood. It took me a while to kind of get the grasp of visualizing this. What are you got to take off versus what you're going to leave? And so, um, with this, uh, I'm wanting ridges here, and this is going to be the bottom of a rounded head. Is that I'm going to start by removing material in between the lines, and then once I get the basic overall shape of it, then I will go and kind of just continue the turning to get it down to the finished profile. So let me adjust the camera just a little bit so I can get this closer to the piece, make sure my lighting is correct, and we'll start turning. Okay, so we're ready to go. Just a hint that when you are tightening your tailstock, to to put the pressure on the blank. Don't over tighten it. You want to get it snug enough for what you want, but you don't want to bend that pin mandrel. So I'm going to be using the Easy Wood Tools round carbide cutter to do a bulk of this work. You're cutting roughly on the center line of the blank. I'm turning at around 1,000 RPM. If it stops like that, you can tighten your tailstock up a little bit. You could also be applying too much pressure. So the other thing before we get too far into this is remember that you have a hole drilled all the way through this, and in this center part you can't turn down further than that 1 1/16. I'll use a caliper when it gets closer. You can also use your bit as a visual reference. So let's continue. And you're not trying to rough turn your exact profile. For me, the key is getting my, let's call them sections of the pepper grinder just turned down and separated, and then work on a more finished profile. The other thing is, you want to be careful because you can't put wood back when you take it off. And then the other thing is, one of the things I like about pin turning is the creativity. And there's a lot of times when I'm turning something at this stage, I have a mental picture of what I'm wanting it to be, but when I get done or get down to a certain point, I like an effect, and it completely changes the finished profile. Then I'm going to start rounding the head of the pepper grinder. on the base of it, the very bottom, I'm going to slant it in towards this first, I don't know what you would, a big groove. You want to be careful. I try to leave a lip right here on this end to the pepper grinder head so that it will mount. So I don't, essentially what I'm not doing is I am not turning round into the void there. You want to be sure that you take time to adjust your tool rest so that you stay at the appropriate distance. Keep in mind that with the curves that some places are going to be further away, so that kind of exaggerates the gap. And I'm using the round carbide cutter. I like it really well, but you don't have to use this. You could use HSS steel chisels if you want. So I'm going to switch to a straight carbide cutter. Just for me, it is easier to keep this line at the base. You want to keep in mind the diameter of your base along with the diameter of the head. You don't want it ended up being top heavy so that it falls over. Let's see if I can adjust that a little bit. I think that's getting about there. I'm going to take a smaller round carbide chisel and just make sure that my head and the foot of the coffee grinder are square. I angle in the base just a little bit towards the center at a slope, just in case. I mean, this wood should not shift in, when if it dries any more than what it is. But that way you will keep a good edge so that your pepper grinder, your bowl, your vase, whatever you're doing, always sits square on the table. Okay, I think I like that. So let me kind of clean up the workspace a little bit. We are going to sand next, and I'm going to start at 150, and then I'm going to go 240, 320, 400, and then 600 grits, and then we will do the friction polish as the last step. And then at that point we will be ready to put the guts in. So give me just a minute and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. Cleaned up a little bit, and starting with 150, we're just going to start sanding. On these curved pieces, I like kind of holding the sandpaper like this. I am going to turn my dust collection on. I don't know if you can tell how well the dust collection is working, but I really like it. Just to help get the dust off, I take a blue shop towel because when we go to polishing this, we don't want any dust. I think that looks pretty good. When we put the friction polish on there, it's going to really transform it. Um, I was sanding at the same speed I was turning, just over 1,000 RPM. So thank you for watching. This would be a good step, or a good time for you to turn your piece to get whatever profile you want. In the meantime, I'm going to get this set up for the finishing. Again, we're going to use the Shiloh X products. It's a three-step process, and I really, really like it, and you're going to see what I mean. So, hope everybody has a great afternoon, and until next time, happy turning.